let's look at the Drednaw list that beat me in the OPOP League. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sable Eyes. I'm Mitch, and today we're going to take a look at Drednaw VMAX. This list comes courtesy of Little Dark Fury. He played this deck against me in the Omnipoke Online Play League. If you haven't seen that video, then there'll be a little card up in the corner over here somewhere, wherever that is. You can go and have a look at that if you would like. This deck is also posted on his Twitter, which you can find down below in the description. The list is there as well. We'll jump across to PTCGO in just a second, but before we do, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It only takes a second and it's free, so that would be great. And whilst you're there, click like so that more people can see this video. I personally think that Drednaw is one of the best VMAX cards to come out of Champion's Path. I'd argue that it's probably the best, even though our Creamy probably has a little bit more damage output. But that's beside the point. Let's jump across to PTCGO now and take a look at the list. Here we are, PTCGO, looking at the deck list that we were beaten by. It's a good one. It's a good one for sure. Sorry, by the way, about my throat. I'm a little bit croaky today. I'm recording this the day after my football team, Port Adelaide, won the first final of the year, which is fantastic. So if anyone cares to comment down below about how good Port's going to be this year, let me know. That stated this video. Let's move on to Pokemon. Drednaw VMAX is our attacker. G-Max Headbutt is the attack we're going to be trying to get off. It is 2 water, 1 colorless, 160 damage. Then we flip a coin. If we get heads, then we do 80 more, so 240. It's nothing to sneeze at. A very, very solid attack. It's going to take knockouts on all of your Center Scorch VMAXs without any problems. And we can guarantee that we're going to get that heads flip. Well, not guarantee it. We can give ourselves a really good chance to get that heads flip thanks to 4 copies of Glimwood Tangle. I'm actually really riding high on Glimwood Tangle at the moment. You'll see a video tomorrow, I think, that features this card quite heavily, so be certain to subscribe for that one. But yeah, Glimwood Tangle lets you reflip coins when they're affecting an attack. So like if I have an effective attack that has a coin flip in it, I can choose to reflip the coin if I am unhappy with the result. So we've got a 75% chance to deal 240 damage, 100% chance to deal 160, and Solid Shell means that our opponent is going to need to deal 350 damage to us to knock us out. We take 30 less damage from attacks. I actually got caught out by that in the game against Little Dark Fury where I attacked with a Raichu. We'd be doing exactly 320, but takes 30 less damage because of the ability. So be aware of that. The same ability is also on Drednaw V. Powerful Bite should be mentioned as another potentially good attack as well. 3 energy again does 130 damage, and your opponent can't retreat next turn. That can potentially set up 2 hits with another Drednaw VMAX, or even this Drednaw evolving into a VMAX if possible, but obviously there are going to be some problems with that, so be aware. That is our main attacker in the deck, but we do have a couple of extra ones. There's Suicune in the list as well. Aura Loop deals 130 damage, which will deal with both Decidueye and Altaria, so we can attack into those without any problems. The energy go back into our hand, unfortunately, so we won't be able to cycle this attack, but sometimes all you need to do is attack once, and that should be fine. Suicune can do the job on those 2 Pokemon. And finally, Wailord V. This has been a card that lots of people have been hyped for. For 4 water energy, we can flip 3 coins and deal 120 damage for each heads that we flip. So it is much less consistent. It's a more expensive attack than our Drednaw, but including 1 is a really cool option. We can potentially deal 360 damage if we get the head flips. We've got 2 chances to get him, and 360 damage knocks out pretty much anything in the game. So definitely a good inclusion. It also has 280 HP, so it is an incredibly tanky Pokemon. It can probably take hits from most things in the format at the moment. Excuse me for a minute whilst I cough. This throat's terrible. Yeah. We're going to power these up by using Frosmoth, by the way. I just really threw myself off with that. I probably should have cut that out. Regardless, we're going to use Frosmoth and Ice Dance to get those energies in play. Oh, we're going to go again. Oh boy, here we go. This is amazing stuff. Ice Dance is going to put those energies in play. We're going to accelerate Water Energy to the bench if we can. There's a 3-3 line here. We also play 2 Dedenne and a Crobat to accelerate and extend our hand just a little bit. Also play 1 Marshadow in this deck. We obviously rely quite a bit on our Stadium, so resetting Hole can potentially get rid of things like Chaotic Swirl, so be aware of that. The rest of the deck is pretty simple. We've got Quick Ball and Pokecom for our Pokemon search. We want to get Pokemon out as quickly as possible, obviously. We've got Capacious Bucket for energy search and energy retrieval to get those energies back once we have been knocked out. Got a couple of switches, only 2 in the deck, so not super important, especially when we play 3 copies of Air Balloon. So definitely worth getting those air balloons down early, especially on Frosmoth. That would be great, so you can get your Pokemon in and out of the active. Once you've got a Drednaw in the active, though, you don't really need to get any extra switching effects off of it. I mean, it's got 4 retreat anyway. That actually links in quite nicely with this card, Buff Padding, which gives it an extra 50 HP. So we're talking about how 350 is already incredibly tanky. What about 400? Right? A Pokemon needs to do 400 damage to knock this thing out in one shot. It is simply not happening. So a really, really good inclusion. If you can find a Pokemon that deals 400 damage consistently, then hey, good on you. I'd like to hear about it. Finally, we've got our supporters, a super consistent supporter line of Research, Marnie, and Boss. It's a 4-4-2 line. Boss as a 2 count is obviously relatively consistent. You just want to get those last couple of knockouts. Drednaw can probably do most of the damage itself, and 10 water energies to get us through. I really, really like this list. Like, to the point where I had my own Dreadnaw list that I'd built with Blake. It had other cards like Keldeo GX and all sorts of stuff in it. I scrapped that video. It was going to go out like a week ago. Well, not a week ago, like 4 days ago. It was going to go out like 4 days ago, and then Little Dark Fury played this list, and it's so much better that I would 100% recommend using this one. It's not the same as the one that he featured on the channel. His channel, he featured a slightly different version. But yeah, I 100% think this is the best way to play Drednaw. We'll jump onto the ladder and get some games with this bad boy. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into a game with Drednaw VMAX. We'll see whether we can't get this deck to work. It is incredibly consistent, though. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a decent game straight away. We've got a couple of good cards here. Snom, which we can chuck in the active. We've got Wailord V as a potential attacking option. We're not going to be able to power it up this turn. Obviously, 4 energy is quite a lot. What are we playing against here? Tangela. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one. Let's attach to Wailord, play down Glimwood Tangle, then I will Crobat, try and get this deck moving. We could play down Buff Padding onto Wailord, actually, and then we probably retreat into the Crobat. It's a bit of a risk. We do have the switch in our hand, though, so I'm relatively happy to do that. We need to find 3 water energy next turn. Now, Tangela is not a good deck by any stretch, but it's a 1 prize deck, and it can probably half hit Drednaw, because it relies on the amount of retreat cost on Pokemon, and Drednaw's retreat cost is 4. So it'll be dealing quite a lot of damage, so it'll be interesting to see here. We're going to need to take 6 clean knockouts, whilst our opponent realistically only needs to take 2 or 3. So we will see. Marnie happening from our opponent here. There's me regretting that switch into the Crobat already. We'll see what we get off of the Marnie. Hopefully we can get ourselves something. We've got a switch, so that's good. And a Marnie, but the rest of the hand isn't super good. And they're getting rid of the Air Balloon and the Buff Padding, which is also very bad with Tool Scrapper. Another Tangler coming down here. And the attack Tangle Drag. Okay, I'm going to bring the Snom into the active. That's an interesting one. Wow, we've just top-decked an Air Balloon. That is incredibly lucky. We will probably just Marnie here. No need to play down any other basics. It's pretty much a certainty that we're going to be A-okay here. Actually get to play down a Drednaw and a Buff Padding and an Energy, I think. Although the question is, what do we want to attach to? There's 3 energy required for both, but there's no coin flip on Drednaw. So I like the idea of powering this up. Hopefully we can find a Frosmoth and a couple of energy here. It doesn't look like we're going to get the Frosmoth, and we've already used Crobat, so we're not going to be able to get an attack this turn. Unfortunately, we are potentially in trouble. We could use Wailord V now, but I think it's actually better to just retreat into Dedenne. If they want to knock us out, they can knock us out. What we could have done with Wailord is we could have used Capacious Bucket, gotten a couple of energies, and then used, I think it's Draw Up, Blow Up, whatever the first attack is on Wailord V, which would attach those energies to our Pokemon, but I'm not too worried about it. It should be fine. Galar Mine coming down from our opponent, so now all of our big attackers have a ton of retreat. There's 6, and then 2 for the 2 Absols, so 8 retreat cost on Wailord and Drednaw. So this could go anyway. I don't know why they are doing that. That is an odd choice. Keep putting the Snom in the active. The Absol is not going to affect the Frosmoth. What I will do, just in case we don't get the Frosmoth, I'll attach once. But it's not going to affect us too much. I don't even need to attach once. Why did? Oh, there's 2 Absols. Yeah, of course. I did need to. It's fine. Research. Hopefully we find Frosmoth. We shouldn't have any problems. We do have Frosmoth, but we don't have energy. Unfortunately, me attaching to that Snom has meant that I've kind of blown myself up here, because I have the Frosmoth. If I had have attached to the Drednaw, I actually would have been able to get an attack off this turn. But unfortunately, it is not to be. We will Ice Dance and get ourselves an energy on Drednaw. Unfortunately, yeah, we're just going to have to leave it here. Maybe we might just retreat, maybe put the Drednaw into the active. Maybe we just put the Marshadow or something. Nah, let's put the Drednaw. Once we find an energy, we'll be able to attack. It's taken so long to do anything here. And unfortunately, the buff padding now does not work. Isn't that ironic that the buff padding is not working? Because we have too many retreat costs. There's not 4 retreat costs anymore, there's 6. They're just going for a Tangle Drag, though. There is nothing for them to do. We've got ourselves the energy, finally. I think I am going to need to Marnie here, though. Give them a brand new hand of 4, because I'm looking for a switch. And we have found one. And if I want, we can actually get the Drednaw VMAX here and make it very, very difficult for our opponent. What I'll do is I'll grab this. We will evolve the Drednaw on the bench and then switch. And that will mean we'll get an attack on the Tangela. We'll take our first prize, and we have an effective 400 HP because of that buff padding. Now, this is it's a formidable Drednaw. This is a big boy. It's a big chonker. He's gonna deal some damage. So they need to start attacking pretty quickly, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. They need to attack. They're probably gonna attack twice into this Drednaw. Because I think from memory it's either 50 or 60 the damage. I think it's 50? Is it 50? Is it 30? I don't know. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully they attack soon so we can find out how much damage Tangrowth actually does. Here it comes. Grass Knot is 10 plus 30. Okay, so they'll be dealing 30. What's that? 1, 2, 4, 3 is going to be 120. It's going to be like not a lot because of our ability. We're actually in a really good spot here. I didn't realize that. I thought it was 50. So this game has just gone from really good for well, not really good, really interesting to really bad for our opponent. They can actually have to hit into this Drednaw 4 times. 4 times in order to take a knockout here. We've knocked out the Tangrowth, and now it's onto our opponent. They will need to get a Galar Mine to hit us for 160 here to try and lock us into the active to get a 3-hit knockout. But I actually have Glimwood Tangle already, using Ordinary Rod to try and get some of those Tangler pieces back. But yeah, no, we are probably going to cruise home in this one. Zamazenta going into the deck and a Tangler. So glad we have that Wailord V as an option. Would have been awkward if Zamazenta had have come down and we weren't able to knock it out. A research as well from our opponent means they'll freshen up their hand. There is the mine, so they're hitting for 160. Unfortunately for them, we have the Glimwood Tangle in hand already, so we can replace that. We could Quick Ball if we want, or we could just research. We don't really need to thin anything here. We're in such a dominant position. We do want to attach that energy to Wailord, just in case that Zamazenta comes back. I'm a little bit afraid of Zamazenta, I'm not going to lie. We have flipped heads, not that it matters. 240 damage, very impressive. And we are halfway to victory. And they need a Tangrowth and a Stadium to knock out this Drednaw. And even if they do have that, we have Wailord coming back to try and take a knockout on the Tangrowth. Looks like they are grabbing another Tangler. So they've set up their little loop that they want. Get their Tanglers going. Hopefully they find a supporter or get a couple of new cards. Here is Professor's Research, so they have access to that. There's Metal Energy in hand there. They might actually be able to power up their Zamazenta. It's an interesting choice. But yeah, no, I think we're in a pretty strong spot here. I don't think there's a way we ever lose this game, especially if they don't knock us out this turn. Although to be fair, they will be hitting for 100. Is that enough? No, it's not going to be enough because we have 370 HP. Now we don't. Now hitting for 100 might be enough. Okay, I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. The Tool Scrapper comes down and makes an absolute mockery of my plans. And looks like they're grabbing a Quick Ball here as well. Potentially grabbing that Zamazenta out. Maybe another Tangela. Maybe another Absol. Okay. Maybe they're identifying the fact that Wailord is going to be attacking next. There's Grass Knot. And the 3-hit knockout ends up taking 3 prizes. So like I said, the game is level. They have an opportunity now to win this. We will put the Frosmoth in the active. We have the Air Balloon. We have the energy. We've got everything that we need. What I will do is I will discard this Frosmoth. I grab another Drednaw here. Unfortunately, 130 damage will not take a knockout on a Tangrowth. So our only hope here is to try and get a knockout with Wailord V. We need 2 heads out of 3 to do that. So believe it or not, there is a world in which this Wailord doesn't take a knockout and gets immediately returned, which would be unfortunate to say the very least. We've got the energy now onto Wailord ready to attack because of the retrieval. We'll grab 2 of those out. Wailord has 4 energy, so I should put another one on there. Yeah, we've got set attackers. It's just going to be whether or not we can get this knockout. If we can't get this one, then we could be in trouble. So, 2 heads flips, please. We've got 6 chances. 0, 1... Okay, we got them. No need to flip again. We've got 240 damage onto that Tangrowth. And we've taken our 3rd prize. But we could super easily be dealt a big blow here. We actually have 8 retreat cost at the moment. If potentially our opponent gets their Stadium, they could put us up to 10. They do 310 damage to this poor Wailord V. They do need the Stadium, though. If they don't have the Stadium, I think they're going to be 30 damage short, which is pretty impressive. Unless, of course, they have a 5th Absol, which would be breaking the rules, frankly. I don't think you're allowed to do that, but we will see. What is it that our opponent comes up with here? They are quick balling. They're going to grab something. Is it another Tangela? Could it be that Zamazenta, potentially? If it is the Zamazenta and they don't have the Stadium, then we might actually be able to win the game next turn. They are grabbing the Zamazenta. Do they play it down, or is it just a thin? We will see. They're playing it down. Okay, and attaching an energy to it. Grass Knot doesn't take a knockout. We are in for a shot here. We have the Gust in hand already. So let's bring out the Zamazenta. If we flip 2 heads, we win this game. Ocean Waves. 2 heads, please. 1. Ooh, didn't get it. Flip again. 2 heads. Yes, we did it. I actually think we probably would have lost that game if he had just knocked us out. If he hadn't have attached. Sorry, if he hadn't found like a Tangela, we might have. Oh, I don't know. We won. Alrighty, back into the good stuff. Played a couple of games. Haven't managed to win too many of them. They've been a little bit dodgy, but we've got a chance here now. I do not know what we are playing up against, though. I really want to get this video finished, because I'm going to do another video today, because I'm going away for the long weekend, and I need to have a little bit of a buffer of videos. So hopefully I can get this one done in this game. We've got a Snom. We have a Drednaw. We have a second Snom. Everything is coming up Millhouse. We're going first as well, which is always good. And a Rangaroo from our opponent. I think we play down the Drednaw and just oh no, we could be Pokemon. Don't be silly. let's not go crazy here. We could probably Dedenne this hand, or maybe even Crobat if we wanted to. That could potentially be an option. We've got a Pokecom in hand. I think that Dedenne is a little risky, though. Obviously, removing all of these supporters could come back to bite us, but I'm going hard. I want an energy attachment. That's my my number one thing here. We've managed to find it, which is good. I will pass. I don't know what my opponent's playing, but they've got a Dragon deck box, so hopefully it's ADP. And if it is, then that Snom is more than capable of surviving. So this is A-OK. I've actually got a pretty decent setup as well if it is ADP, but a Volcanion suggests otherwise. We might have a very, very simple game here. If it is a Center Scorch deck, like I would expect, it could potentially be like this Green's Reshizard deck that's doing the rounds at the moment a little bit. Incidentally, a Reshizard tag team, what do you call it? How to upgrade video, that one that was from a while ago. It's almost on 10,000 views. Can you believe it? Almost 10,000 people watched that video. That's genuinely unbelievable for me. They've managed to put the Volcanion in the active, so whatever they want to. Oh, it's Rhyperior. Okay, so we're looking at like energy denial stuff. So they're probably going to grab something like Melodic here, because Melodic can do quite a lot of damage to a Pokemon that has Infinity Retreat. We'll see. It depends on what they need to do. If they've got support in their hand, then maybe. Otherwise, it might just be a Dedenne, which would obviously be a fine choice. It's going to deal 210, that Melodic. So, we're going to make sure that we knock that out. Although, to be fair, it will only 2-hit. And a double. Okay, so... And they've got the research in hand. That's really good for them. Okay, so we are in a position now where I'm going from... Okay, we're not playing against a fire deck. We are playing against, like, a energy denial deck. Which is good, because we have outs to get more energy, right? We've got outs to find energy with things like energy retrieval and as well as Capacious Bucket. So that is good. They are spreading this energy around here. They're going to put 2 on the Melodic and 1 on the double. We have 3 of a kind, 3 quick balls here. We will get rid of 2 of them to find ourselves probably another Snom. What I can do is I can play that down onto the bench. I can quick ball away Marnie. Grab a... Oh, interesting. I think another Drednaw seems fine. We'll just have perfectly synchronized violence on the bench here. Have 2 of each of them. See whether or not we can get ourselves into the active this turn. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to. I will attach and then research. We're looking for a Air Balloon and a Frosmoth, but we achieved neither of those, so that's disappointing. We will pass. That's a good thing I put that second Snom down, otherwise we would have been in a bit of trouble there. Very, very much so. We'll see whether or not our opponent can capitalize on this. Although, to be fair, the only real threat that we have on our opponent's side of the field at the moment is Melodic. Everything else we will be able to comfortably one-shot. Apart from that double, we'll need to flip heads on both the double and the Melodic. There is the Aurora Energy on Melodic V, so they will be able to attack with that. They are going to need to put it in the active, though, which will be a bit of a risk. I will say that much. If they choose to knock out the Snom with Melodic, that is a gamble. Personally, I probably would have preferred to have knocked it out with the Volcanion, because then you're trading one prize for another, and you get the potential half hit on the Drednaw VMAX, which is very, very important. We'll see what our opponent chooses to do here. They may just go for a Flare starter. They might not be interested in doing anything other than setting their board up, which is fair. We would need to find a switch card to get the Snom out of the active then, but we've got research, so it's not unlikely that we find one. They are, though, going to switch into Melodic and then Dedenne, so this is a bit of a risk for them. If we happen upon a stadium, we can very easily remove one of the biggest threats in this deck. Melodic is the only card, I think, that can consistently half-hit us. Okay. So the tables are turning here. We very easily could get that knockout. They are taking a long, long time on their turn, though. I will say that much. There is a lot of thinking going on Ehizage's side. Sure. That's a name, I suppose. They're going to Aqua Impact at some point. Looks like they're going for a Welder. That'll probably go onto the double. And it looks like that is where that is happening. So 3 more cards for them. And now we sit patiently and wait for them to decide to Aqua Impact. Okay. We need to find our stadium. If we get a knockout, I think we pretty much lock up the game. There's the Tangle. We've got the Glimwood Tangle. We can throw that down if we like. What I will do, though, is I'm gonna be a little bit cheeky here. I'm gonna throw this down. I'm gonna play down the stadium, and then I'm going to use Crobat, because I would love to just draw into a Frosmoth, which we've managed to do, which is beautiful. I didn't want to get rid of that bucket too early. That's why we were struggling to find them. We only had 1 in the deck. So that's a bit disappointing. We will now, however, be able to power up our Drednaw, which is good. You're going to need to waste this energy retrieval, unfortunately, because there is no energy in the discard pile. It looks like we've got a lot of energy in the prizes as well. I think that was 3. We've got 3 in deck. No, 2 energy in the prizes. We've got 7 accounted for and 1 in the deck. We draw 3 Glimwood Tangles here, so any risk of us losing that stadium is now gone, and we flip the heads. So there's the knockout on the Melodic. Very happy with that. We find a Water Energy. We'll just get like a Frosmoth here. Oh, we just found both of the Water Energies that were in our prizes. There we go. It's kind of handy, I suppose. And now Double will be able to deal a little bit of damage, but not nearly enough to knock us out. It might be enough to half hit, but they will need to find Welder and attach an energy to something else this turn. They're going to need, like, Rhyperior. Maybe if they've got a second Melodic V, I don't know. This is a deck that I have played quite a little bit, this counter box. I know Torkoal is one of their go-to attackers, but that's obviously weak to water. So it's a bit of a gamble at the moment. If they do knock out our Drednaw in 2 turns, though, let's just think about it. If they manage to knock out the Drednaw, that's still really bad, though, because I've got the Drednaw V and I've got 2 turns to find another VMAX. I feel like our opponent is going to struggle to win from here. They probably needed to knock out the Snom with the Volcanion. If they'd done that, then there would have been a much higher chance of them winning this game, because I would have had to have knocked out the Volcanion. They would have knocked out... Oh, they would have half hit with the Melodic, and then they would have had an opportunity from there. So, a bit of I'm not going to say a misplay by any stretch, because it's not. It's just an unfortunate mis-sequencing of attacks there. A Welder onto Indeedee V, I'm not worried about that even remotely. If they do attach to it, then that's A-OK. The Revenge Blast here is going to be doing a pretty paltry amount of damage. I think 150, so it's not even going to half hit us. We can potentially knock out this Double. The Softball ability on Double will not affect us at all. We have Glimwood Tangle in our hand, unless of course we get stamped or something. That would be annoying. They can't money us because they've already played Welder. So we'll see. It looks like Fire Crystal here. They might just manually attach to the Indeedee with the Fire Crystal. There is the Aurora. Okay, so they've got an extra energy on there. They might be gearing up for a big half hit. There is the 150 on Drednaw. We top deck another VMAX here, so what we could do if we were very, very mean is we could just switch into the one on the bench, but I feel like it's actually safer to just attack here. I do not want to flip that again. The reason that I do that is because I want to hold on to the switch. We don't have a lot of switch options, and we kind of might need another attacker at some point. Although, to be fair, if they knock out both of our Drednaws, then the game is over. So, they're going to promote the Indeedee. We need 1 heads flip if they choose to attack with this Indeedee. Doesn't matter whether they knock us out or not, we have the attacker. I don't know why I didn't do anything else there then, in that case. Hold on to the switch just in case something dumb happens, I suppose. They are weldering to a Heatran here. Are they about to try and knock me out with Heatran? That seems like a bad play, because then I'm guaranteed to win. At least force me to flip the coin. Though, to be fair, it could be expecting that I have Boss's Orders, which would knock out the Dedenne, and then could be going for the Heatran here to try and get at least 3 prizes, so it doesn't look completely horrific. There is the Torkoal, so they couldn't use that for the entire game. They're just going to Psychic here. That's such a waste. If they had have welded to the active, they would have at least taken a knockout. We will attach to... Oh, actually, let's just GMAX Headbutt. Let's just win the game. Yeah, we'll just win the game. There we go. 2 prizes. 240 damage. Drednaw VMAX is very, very consistent at doing that. So Drednaw VMAX is an incredibly good deck. I mean, it's not incredibly good. It's good enough. It does the job. It does everything that you want it to. I am frankly very impressed with it. And I can tell you, I wasn't expecting this to be the best deck out of Champion's Path, but it seems like it is. It seems like it's one of the cards that is most impressive. At the moment, it is a little bit underpowered, but it can beat Center Scorch, and Center Scorch is incredibly good. So I feel like this card is one to get for the future. And here's a bold prediction. Once ADP Zacian is gone, this card will be... This card, it's over here. This card will be very good. I feel like ADP Zacian kind of gatekeeps this particular deck from being solid at the moment. When you think about it, you go up against things like Eternatus VMAX, up against Center Scorch, it auto-wins that. There's not really any lightning stuff at the moment, though Pikachu VMAX is coming out, so I guess that could potentially be a threat. Regardless, I think this card has some mileage to it. I'd definitely be trying to pick up a couple whilst they are cheap. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. Thank you to Little Dark Fury for beating me with this, because otherwise I would have played a much worse version. So thank you very much to him. Again, subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video so more people can see it, and I will see you next time for more from the Sableyes.